My name is Pastor Danielle. I serve the amazing youth of this church. Can you guys give a hand to the youth, like the next generation, the one that's coming up? I love them. So I pastor the 6th through 12th graders, and I don't do it alone. I literally can't do it alone. I have an incredible team of servant leaders here in this church that help me serve every single week, and not just on Wednesdays, but like outside of that too. They meet with students, they disciple them, they pastor them, mentor them, and so I give honor to them too, because we would not have a thriving youth ministry if it wasn't for servant leaders. So can you guys give a hand to all the servant leaders that serve on the youth team? And if you're interested in serving on the youth team, always know you can come talk to me. I would love to talk to you about that. But did you guys have a great 4th of July yesterday? Yeah, the fireworks kept you awake. I love it, you guys. I thrive off chaos, so I love fireworks. I'm heading to camp tomorrow, junior high camp, and it's chaos. But I thrive in chaos. It's going to be amazing. And then senior high camp after that, it's going to be great. But before I begin, I kind of want to introduce my family to you guys. If you've never met me, I have a picture of my family up here. And this is Pastor Mark on the right. You might recognize him. And then Ravi in the middle. However, this picture is a little dated because I'm really bad at taking family photos. I need to do it. This is like 2 to 3 years old. And my boy Colby, I know he's over there. He's my senior who just graduated. He's a photographer. I've been trying to set up a time to get family pictures. It's my bad. But also, it's kind of because I don't want my husband to cut his hair. Can you show the next picture? Because you might not recognize him. This is actually Mark now, right? He's got long hair. That is my doing, you guys. I love Lord of the Rings. I'm like, give me a blonde Aragorn. Like, I need that. Like, I need you to grow your hair out. So he did it for me, and it's at that perfect length. And he's like, can I please cut it? And I'm like, we have to take family pictures first. So I'm kind of delaying the family pictures so that he doesn't cut his hair that I love. So if you don't like it, that's okay. I like it, and that's all that matters. But anyway, so that's my family. My parents are also here in the crowd. They're actually moving here. They're officially here in Fargo, so they'll be a part of this church family. You guys can you raise your hands and just wave. My mom, Dana, my dad, Dennis. So you guys, I will love to introduce my parents to you. My mom looks like me, so if you see someone who's a little older than me that looks like me, that's my mom. She's amazing. She's beautiful. I'm blessed. Good genetics. Thank you so much. Anyway, we are talking about Sabbath this summer in our summer Sabbath collection. I've been enjoying it. Sabbath is one of my favorite things. I love to rest. I love to chill, but I also love to be intentional with God, because if we're not doing that, then it's kind of pointless. So we're talking about that today. Last week, Pastor Caleb, I just want to briefly share what he said, some of the highlights from it. He hit on the why of Sabbath, and some of the whys are, one, it's commanded by God in the 4th commandment to take a Sabbath day, the 7th day. It helps us practice the way of Jesus so that we can live more like Jesus and live our lives to the full that he promised us in John 10:10. And then it's also, the why is for us to be a good witness. And before I jump into one of my favorite quotes from that, I do want to say, if you have any questions about Sabbathing during this time, like during this entire summer, you guys can do that by texting NV REST to 94,000. And so make sure you do that if you have any questions that you have about it, because we would love to answer those throughout this summer. And so the last thing, though, that I loved from Pastor Caleb last week was this quote. It's going to be up on the screen. It's, if Christians are just as exhausted, busy, anxious, and burned out as everyone else, what makes following Jesus any better? What makes following Jesus any better if we're all stressed out, right? And we can put it this way: if you're a youth student in here, and if you're a Christian who follows Jesus and you're a youth kid and you're like, man, yeah, if I'm just so stressed out all the time, if I'm always worried about my grades, if I'm worried about the drama, the gossip, gossiping about people, and I'm just stressed out, what makes me any different than someone who doesn't follow Jesus as a youth kid? Or as a parent of a youth student in here, or of just a parent in general, general of younger kids, like if you follow Jesus, but you're always stressed out about your kids not being perfect, or if you're like mad about any coach or issue, other parents comparing, all of that, you're just as busy as all of that. Like what's the difference, right? No one's gonna wanna follow Jesus if we are the same as them. So the Sabbath is something that can set us apart. And so for my story, you guys, like I love Jesus, right? I used to be one way and now I am another way. I used to be completely like when I was in college, I went to college here at NDSU, I played soccer. I was busy, the student athlete life, busy all the time. And I could not I was stressed about my life sometimes. I was overthinking. I had fears about my future, all of that. Hold on, I'm so sorry. I really need to figure out how to, hold on. Oh, yeah, my fit looks good. Thank you. Oh my word. Oh, dude, the Norway game, hold on. The Norway-Brazil game. Did you guys know they're playing today? Who's following the World Cup? Yeah, it's gonna be great. I love both those teams, so I don't know. Oh, okay. Lock in. What was I saying? Okay, but when I found Jesus, I'm gonna silence this. This is really hard. Okay, when I found Jesus and gave my life to him, something changed, right? Not just me surrendering my life, surrendering my sin, all of that, but I also was able to find time to rest and be intentional with him. And I don't do this perfectly by any means. I wish I did, but I try daily to take like a Sabbath, right? Like an hour a day of daily devotion to Jesus. I try to do that as my daily Sabbath and also be intentional with once a week, spending an entire day just resting, hanging out with friends, but also intentionally talking to God, praying and thinking about him. But the one thing, you guys, that I find that hinders my Sabbath the most, which is what I'm gonna nail in so hard this morning to you guys, the one thing, yes, I'm ready for camp. Did you get the email? Oh my word. Okay, the one thing. Are you ready? Can you guys say the one thing? The one thing that hinders my Sabbath rest the most is literally this thing. You probably figured it out. I'm not that rude. I would never be on my phone up here. It's just for you guys to see how distracting it can be because of this. Does everyone have one of these? Yeah. I mean, good. If you're a kid, don't get one. If you're like a teen, don't get one. Just get away from this thing because this is like one of the most addicting things in our culture, right? Can I get an amen on that? All right, this is I'm going to actually throw this. All right, can someone take this? Because I actually don't want it up here at all. But I love you, everyone who texted me, and thank you for being a part of that sermon illustration. But I want to yeet that thing against the wall sometimes, and I find that is one of the biggest hindrances to me resting on the Sabbath. And so that's the title of my message this morning. If you're taking notes, I highly recommend it, because then you can look back and remember it. You can spend time on your Sabbath looking at it, pondering it, and praying it. But my message title today is Stop the Scrolling. Stop the scrolling. Not all screen time is bad. Don't hear me say that. But I find the thing that really hinders me the most is when I'm just scrolling, mindlessly scrolling. And so I'm preaching out of weakness today, you guys. I have a very addictive personality. If I like something, I like, anything, like Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, the new Spider-Man movie coming out. I need to know everything, every theory. I need to know the actors, actresses, like what's going on. And I will spend so much time researching and looking at that. Like I'm addicted, right? And I think some of you can relate, like if you go on Instagram, you find yourself like just going on quick to check something. And then 45 minutes later, you're looking at like your 100th video of like something funny, like fails or something really random, like how to make garlic saturated honey that's going to cure your sore throat. Maybe that's just me. You talked about crunchiness, very crunchy. But we all can relate to our phones being something that trap us. And this spans across all generations. So yes, I come as the youth pastor speaking to youth parents, but man, I'm speaking to all of us because it spans across all generations. They do have a lot of studies, though, on youth and phone usage, so I'm going to hit you with some facts. Studies have shown that teens spending more than 5 hours a day on devices have a statistically higher likelihood of reporting mood changes, anxiety, and depression. And then teens online that are just online scrolling on social media have a higher likelihood of experiencing cyberbullying, unhealthy body image perceptions, and are at a higher risk of being exposed to porn and other addictive things such as that. And then teens also, when they are, studied, they have things to say about their parents and, oops, sorry, for real, my bad. They have things to say about their parents' screen time as well. 51% of teens say their parents are sometimes distracted by their phones when they're talking to them. And that bothers them. And a lot of them wish that their parents would just practice what they preach when it comes to them saying, like, get off the screens. They're like, well, what about you, Mom? Like, you're on your screen late in the night too. So it's really not just targeting the youth, the younger generation. It's all of us. And I'm actually going to hit us with this. I'm like fascinated looking at the different generations, right? Like Generation Alpha, Gen Z, Millennials, Gen X. So we're going to just kind of look at a brief snapshot of our phone usage per generation. Is that cool? Can we do that? I think we have all generations in this room today because it's family service. So Gen Alpha, that is anyone born between 2013 through 2024. So my son is in that. Some of my younger youth kids are in Gen Alpha. And if they have a phone, because I guess it's 92% of Gen Alpha teenagers own a smartphone. That's really young. That's like 13 years old. But their average time between checks when it comes to like just checking your phone is every 3 to 4 minutes. 3 to 4 minutes, they're checking their phone. That averages around 250 plus times a day. And then their average phone screen time is or just screen time in general, could be like an iPad or something, is 4 to 5.5 hours. And then Gen Z, which is a lot of my youth kids, that's if you're born between 1997 through 2012, you're checking your phone every 2 to 3 minutes, check in, which is around 300 times a day. And you actually log in the most time, I'm sorry to say, the most time staring at a screen. So not just like other people might check it more often, like just look at it, but you're staring at a screen from 6 to 9 hours a day. That's crazy. And then millennials like me, you're born between 1981 through 1996. You're checking it every 1 to 2 minutes. And when I read that and I thought about it, I was like, shoot, that is probably pretty accurate. Like if my phone's by me, yeah, like I need to check it. And I realized, man, is this thing an idol in my life? Am I addicted? Yeah, I am. And I feel like I've known this for a long time. And I've done radical steps to get it away, but then I always come back to it. It's always there. So that's millennials. And we also average it from 6 to 6.5 hours of just staring at a screen per day. Gen X, I believe that's my parents, is 1965 through 1980, and you're averaging looking at your phone, checking it every 5 to 8 minutes, so a little less, but still that's kind of crazy, right? Every 5 minutes, gotta look at that thing, averaging 100 to 140 times, and you're looking at it for 3 to 5 hours a day, just staring at it. And then baby boomers, I love you guys. You were born between 1946 through 1964, and you're averaging looking at your phone, checking it every 5 to 15 minutes, just checking it. That's really good, actually, but also kind of horrifying. Still, that means we can't not look at our phones for like 30 minutes. Like, that's crazy. And so this is why I've taken time today, this morning, to you guys to really talk about the screen time and scrolling, because there's so much we could talk about when it comes to Sabbathing, when it comes to teens, parents, all of it. But the thing is, we can take time off each week and spend it, resting, but we're not really resting if we're just looking at our phone and scrolling. And so we need to stop starting our Sabbath or starting our times with God every day, not by checking our phone and scrolling, but by plugging into Him. So we need to disconnect from our phones and we need to connect to the source. And the Apostle Paul in 1 Corinthians 10:23, he says this, and he's addressing the early church and warning them of idols. He says this, he says, you say, talking to them, well, I'm allowed to do anything, but not everything is good for you, the Apostle Paul says. But hey, you say again, I am allowed to do anything, but not everything is beneficial. And so I say to you, or we might say, hey, screen time isn't really a sin. Scrolling's not a sin. I'm not looking at anything bad or sinful, and that's fine. So it is allowed. But man, what is it doing to your soul? What is it doing to your attention span? Are you able to hear from God? Is it actually beneficial to you? That's the question we need to answer today. Oh, so you might be here and you're like, I should not have come to this service because this is convicting me, and I know it is because it convicts me too. So like I said, I'm preaching from weakness. My phone has distracted me too many times during my daily time with God or on my actual day of rest, the Sabbath that I take or the amount of time that I do. It derails me. So we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about what things scrolling fuels in our lives and why we just got to cut it off. And so the first thing, if you're taking notes, that scrolling fuels is this: scrolling fuels a critical heart. Scrolling fuels a critical heart. A simple definition of having a critical heart means to express disapproval, point out flaws or mistakes or shortcomings of someone else or of something. And that little device that you have, our phones, they are filled with endless opinions, right? They are filled with endless comparisons, complaints, outrages. People love to hide behind a screen. They love to debate and be all keyboard warriors. They would never say that to your face, but online they will. And so it is like a cesspool of criticism. And the more that we're scrolling and diving down those rabbit holes, it is going to fuel a critical heart of our own. And if we are, we take the scrolling before we spend time with God and the Sabbath, we are like fueling our minds to be thinking about that. We'll be looking at things through a negative mindset all the time. And that is not the way that God intended us to live our lives to the full. Right? So you'll spend, maybe you open up your phone and you see a post and it's of your friends hanging out at a bonfire and you're like, I wasn't invited. Why wasn't I invited? And then you're hurt by that, but then you're critical and you're like, well, what's up with them? They're not good friends. Wow, why wasn't, and then you're mad. And then you just think about all the worst things about these people. Well, why was she invited? She does this, she sins here, she does that. And you have this horrible critical heart. And then you go to read your Bible and you're reading it and you're not reading it because you're thinking about how mad you are and how you want to confront people, right? It fuels that critical heart. Or maybe you're into politics. I love reading about the world and politics, big into it. Again, I like to dive deep in things. But maybe you think everyone, because your algorithm is constantly showing you things that are showing the other side of your political views in a negative way. And you're like, everyone who voted for them or believes that is stupid. I hate them. How could they? How could they feel that way? I can't believe they think our country should go this way. How could they vote for them? And then you have this, you think the other side's the enemy when they're really just people that also love God. Usually they're trying their best. They need grace. But you see them as an enemy because you're just fueling your heart to be critical and believe the lies that the internet is showing you about the other side. Or maybe you're deep diving into some posts that criticize the church or, and they're like, oh, the church should be doing this or yada, yada, this pastor, that, all that. And it fuels your heart and you look at the church through a negative mindset and you look at Jesus through that way and you're not able to see the beauty and the goodness, right? And to be completely honest, you guys, I'm an optimist by nature, right? I'm very optimistic. Life is good. Why are we stressed out? Why? Doesn't mean I'm not critical. I am. But when I'm hanging out with people who are always critical, it is so exhausting, right? And what Pastor Caleb said last week, what I already mentioned, our witness will be shot if we are constantly critical of people or critical of the church, critical of this, that, because we're not able to rest and let that be sorted out. And so it gives us that hard heart. And to give you an example of what a hard-hearted person looks like in the Bible, we don't have to look much further than the Pharisees. If you've read the Gospels, Jesus is on the scene and he is sharing the good news. At the same time, the Pharisees are the religious leaders of the day. And they are very, Pastor Caleb talked last week about ditches. We want to be the narrow road. The ditches are legalism and complacency or neglect. Legalism and neglect when it comes to the Sabbath. We don't want to be legalistic. We can't do anything. We can't wash our cars, do the dishes. But we don't want to neglect it and be I'll do it later. I'm just going to keep working. We need the middle ground. But okay, so the Pharisees are very legalistic when it comes to the Sabbath. They want everything done by the book. They are not a fan of Jesus and what he has to say and what he's doing. And they're fueled by a critical heart and jealousy and things like that. In Matthew 12, here's one example for you guys. Matthew 12, verses 9 through 14, it says this: Then Jesus went over to the synagogue where he noticed a man with a deformed hand. The Pharisees asked Jesus, "Does the law permit a person to work by healing on the Sabbath?" They were hoping he would say yes so they could bring charges against him. And he answered, "If you had a sheep that fell into a well on the Sabbath, wouldn't you work to pull it out? Of course you would. And how much more valuable is a person than a sheep? Yes, the law permits a person to do good on the Sabbath." Then he said to the man, "Hold out your hand." So the man held out his hand, and it was restored, just like the other one. And then the Pharisees called a meeting to plot how to kill Jesus. Bro, you're that legal. Like, he healed a guy, healed his hand that was withering, and they're so critical and mad that they are like, let's kill him. Let's straight kill him. That is a hard heart, and I don't want us as Christians to ever get to that place where we are so legal, like we're constantly, judging or throwing stuff. Like the Pharisees were mad at Jesus for hanging out with sinners, for touching things, for healing people, all of that. And man, we cannot get to that place. So, but don't hear me say this. Don't hear me say we can never question or criticize things. Like, we can do that. We just need to have a good heart for it. Like a heart that's not like condemning it like it's forever bad. Like, we need a heart that's soft, a heart that believes in the best in other people, believes in the best in the church and what it's doing, and then can come alongside and help make it better, right? So we need that. And the one thing that helps me when I start to feel critical, because I do, right? Preaching from weakness, is I will start off my Sabbath, or like if I feel that critical heart, or my times with the Lord every day, praying this scripture over my life. And it's Psalm 139, verses 23 through 24. It says this: "Search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts, and see if there is any grievous way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting." And so I'll start that, and I'll even write down in my journal like things that I'm mad about or I'm critical of, and I'll be like, God, help me. Like, help me see the good in these things. Help me shift things. And that is a beautiful way to spend your Sabbath, you guys, like asking the Lord to remove the critical heart, to help you with things. And so we might... wait, hold on. Yeah, so with that, I'll wrap up this point just so I stay good for time. But we need to stop scrolling, right? Because scrolling fuels a critical heart, but our Sabbath will fuel a heart that looks inward, a heart that's more thankful, a heart that just is with God. And so that'll basically be my transition for all my points is really stop scrolling. So my title, stop scrolling, because we don't want that negative heart. My next point is this: scrolling fuels, now hear me, FUD. FUD. All right, I'm teaching my son, we're homeschooling. I'm teaching him how to read, and we have to pronounce the letters. So FUD, nothing else, right? FUD, I think it says it on the screen. It stands for fear, uncertainty, and doubt. I got this term from a friend. He loves it's like a term from the market, stock markets, crypto. So if you're familiar with that, maybe you've heard FUD before. But I'm like, dude, FUD? Yes, I need a whole sermon series for youth on FUD, because we do not need more fear, uncertainty, and doubt in our lives. But if you're ever on your phone and you're scrolling, I'm sure you've seen another crisis happen. I'm sure you've seen the latest conspiracy theory that you're like, is it real? I love conspiracy theories, by the way, but I also am like, I'm not going to give in to fear. I'll trust God in this. But you might have, there's been times where I've opened up my phone before my quiet time or on my Sabbath, and I see a graphic, violent video of someone dying or being murdered, and I'm like, shook by it. I feel fear, FUD, start to impact my heart and my soul, and I think about it constantly, and how could this have happened? How can we live here? And then I start to doubt things, or maybe you're here and you've been on social media before you spend time with the Lord, and you'll see things, you'll start comparing, you'll see your friends and their successes, you'll see other parents, thriving and going on vacations with their kids, and you're like, I can't afford that, and you start to doubt your worth. You start to feel like, you have, comparison and all of that. And it doesn't give you rest. It brings you down on your time with the Lord. And the worst part for me, you guys, when I start to have FUD in my life, fear, uncertainty, or doubt, is I sometimes will not want to even talk to God about it. For some reason, I'm like, no, I'm just going to avoid it. And how do I avoid it? How do we all avoid it, right? We just go to our phones and we start scrolling and we're like, yes, certainly this will make me feel better because I'm not thinking about it anymore. I'm looking at a funny video. This will help me. And we're trying to self-medicate with our phones instead of running to God, right? Who's done that? Can you guys raise your hands if you're like, yeah, okay, because I have, and I know so many of us have done that. And so we need to disconnect from that because it's not going to heal us, and we need to connect to God, who is the one who heals. One of my favorite verses or scripture portions is Philippians 4, verses 6 through 7. Not 6, 7. I think that's last year too. Praise the Lord. But it says this. It says, don't be pulled in different directions or worried about a thing. Be saturated in prayer throughout each day, offering faith-filled requests before God with overflowing gratitude. Tell him every detail of your life, then God's wonderful peace that transcends human understanding will make the answers known to you through Jesus Christ. And this, man, I should put this on my mirror. I have other scriptures on there. I should put this on because, man, if we're starting to feel worried or fearful, full of doubt, we need to be saturated in prayer. I love that it says, tell him every detail of your lives, you guys, because God cares so much about you. He's the one waiting for you to come to the Sabbath. He wants to spend time with you. He wants to remove the FUD from your life. All of that fear, uncertainty, and doubt. He wants to replace it with his truth that he can tell you about through his word and all of those things. We just need to stop the scrolling because it's only going to fuel that. And so when we when we feel, scrolling fuels FUD, but what the Sabbath does is it fuels trust for our lives, trust for what God is going to do. And so we need to do that. My last point for you guys is this. It's scrolling, and worship team, you can start heading back up during this time. My last point is this. It's scrolling fuels noise. Scrolling fuels noise. My last point basically circles back to the beginning, right? When I said that on average, we check our phones every, from 5 to 1 minute, we're checking it. Also, how many of you guys have checked your phones as I've been preaching? I see you. Who else? Be honest. I see you. And did you just check it for no reason? Or you had a notification, but it's almost like you're drawn. You have to look at the glowing rectangle. Duh, I feel that. And I'm like, why? It's addictive. It's the dopamine hit. There's a science behind it. I'm not teaching on that today. But man, why can't we do that? Or the thing I noticed too, I'll watch a movie. I love movies. Why do I want to look at my phone? I'm watching a movie. It's our attention spans are totally rewired. So it's hard, you guys. It is so hard for us in our generation, all of us, all generations, in this time we're living now, to be quiet, to be still, to not have noise, right? I do this game, you guys. Sometimes I try because I'm I need to try to retrain my brain. But if I'm in a waiting room at the doctor, the dentist, or if I'm in line waiting for the checkout at Costco or something, I'm tempted just to look at my phone because I'm there's nothing to do. And I'm not talking to anyone. It's when Ravi's not there. But then I'll think, why? How did I used to live before this? I used to just look at people and think, right? Isn't that weird? We used to do that. Or read a book. It's crazy. And so I'll do this. I'll play this game. I think a lot. I'm in my head a lot. But I'll play a game with God. I'll be okay, well, not really a game, but I'm God, okay, what do you want me to see? And I'll look at people, which is kind of weird, but not. We can look at people. We don't have to look like this. And it gives me I'm give me your eyes to see these people. Do you want me to pray for anyone? What do you want me to do? You're just more aware, right? If someone were to come and attack someone, I'm aware because I'm looking, right? We got to get off our phones. It's going to help us live longer, you guys. But I'll play that game. And I also am trying to be intentional, right? I'm intentional with thinking and pondering and being with God. There's scriptures that back this up. In Psalm 46, verse 10, it says, be still and know that I am God. Be still. I don't like being still. I'm a very active person. I love to talk. Hush, still. And I try to do that. My husband actually encourages me, just sit in silence for 10 minutes with God. Silence, really hard, but it helps me. I encourage you to try it too. Isaiah 26 verse 3 says, "You will keep in perfect peace all who trust in you, all whose thoughts are fixed on you." We need to keep our thoughts fixed on God because they can't be fixed if we're just scrolling. Scrolling can't fix it. Quit distracting. Look at him. He will help you. And then in Psalm 36, verse 7, "Be still in the presence of the Lord and wait patiently for him to act. Don't worry about evil people who prosper or fret about their wicked schemes." And it is so relaxing, you guys. Or you can go on a walk in nature. I love doing that on my Sabbath. Walking and just talking to him or just listening to creation, the birds, all of it. Like, have you guys listened to crickets or frogs lately? You need to do that. That's the Lord speaking. It is so good. But we can't, we've become so uncomfortable to silence because we don't want to look stupid or we get caught up in all the junk, right? The criticism, the FUD, all of it, that we're missing out on what God wants to say to us. So the whole point of this message, you guys, was this, man, we can take the time to Sabbath. We can have that free day, the free hours. And I think last week we encouraged you guys to take 2 hours a week just to be with God and to Sabbath. And we're encouraging you, we're upping it to 4 hours this week. And I encourage you from this message to do 4 hours without your phone and to be intentional. Try sitting in silence for 5, 10 minutes. If you can do 30, woo, that's impressive. But it will help us reshape our minds, you guys. Or you can do other things. Have a whole weekend. When my girl Charity, I was just talking to her. She's like, yeah, I don't do social media during the week. What do you mean? You don't scroll during the week? Crazy. I love social media. I'll say that. But yeah, man, I'm challenged by some people. They don't go on. Or take a weekend off your phone. Silence it. Scrolling fuels noise, but Sabbath fuels peace. And so to recap the points, I think we have, it'll be on the slide. But just remember these things this week, you guys. And remember, every time your phone goes off, why? Why? It's not bad, it's not sinful, but what is it fueling? So scrolling fuels a critical heart, but Sabbath fuels a thankful heart. Scrolling fuels FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, but Sabbath fuels trust. And then scrolling fuels noise, but a Sabbath fuels peace.